Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! This story is from roughly 2013. I was an adjuster for lizard insurance and would go to many tow lots after car accidents and decide if a car was a total loss or send it to a body shop, as well as do the initial write-up of an estimate on repair costs. The tow lot I was at this day also worked with the state police and housed their overflow storage for anything deemed evidence and on hold from release. These vehicles were kept behind a locked gate inside the already fenced gated tow yard. I was there to do an appraisal on two vehicles that had been involved in a minor accident. However, both were left unable to drive from the scene due to either multiple flats, lights knocked out, or windows busted. I've finished the first vehicle and I've started taking photos of the second vehicle. I have headphones in and I'm listening to the album Cavalcade by the Flatliners. Anyhow, I see a woman, I guess around 50, walk up to the police evidence lot and the gate swings open out of the corner of my eye. Not paying much attention as the vehicles I was working with were on the same side of the lot but about 50 meters down from the evidence lot. As my back is turned to this woman, I will from here on refer to as Karen, I take the last couple of photos I need. The last being a photograph of the VIN of the vehicle, which is located where the windshield meets the hood, almost on a dash through the windscreen. Hope this makes sense. Karen, out of literally nowhere, grabs both cables to my headphones from behind and rips them out of my ears. "Excuse me, why are there two cars in front of mine so I cannot get it out?" This lot would stack cars in 4 or 5 deep side by side and move them around with a small truck to release them. I tell her, "Please don't touch me, and I don't think you should be in there. You shouldn't be listening to music on a job anyway, or slacking off taking pictures of other people's belongings. You're probably back here stealing." I attempt to point at the lizard insurance logo on my blue jacket, but Karen continues on. "Are you going to do your job or do I need to call the police because you're refusing to give me my property? Have you gone into the office at APC Towing?" "No. I saw you here and you need to move these cars so I can get mine and leave." As Karen opens the door and gets into the first car and one's blocking her, Hey, no, you can't go in there. That is police evidence." I use my cell phone to call APC Towing and inform them. "If you won't move these cars, then I will. Where are the keys?" "In the office, with the employees." At this time, the manager comes running out with one of those weird smartphone/Nextel style phones in his hand. He says, "Hey lady, get the hell out of there. Those cars are property of the state police." He frantically uses his Nextel to talk to someone. He sees the chain used to keep the lock closed has been cut with bolt cutters, y'all. Karen was carrying a pair of bolt cutters and had thrown them into her car when she was back at it. The manager and Karen argue back and forth. I intently listen and half pay attention as I finish my duties for work. About 8 to 10 minutes pass and 7 police cars come flying back into the lot. The manager greets the police and explains what is going on, but not after Karen attempts to scream at the police that I had stolen her car. The police tell Karen to stand over in a direction he points, sending one officer to wait with her. Turns out the lieutenant who was on scene who was in charge of the county's police tow licenses. After getting the manager's story, the lieutenant comes to me and takes mine. While I'm informing him of what happened, Karen overhears and starts yelling and attempting to approach me. The officer standing with her grabbed her by the arm, but Karen yanked that arm out of the female officer's hand and shoved her, surprisingly knocking the officer down. Karen is screaming incoherently as she charges towards me. The lieutenant steps in front of me and with his taser hits Karen with the most beautiful sound in the world. Karen goes limp and faces plants in the dirt/light gravel of the lot and skids slightly. They immediately handcuff her. Turns out Karen had walked onto the lot carrying the bolt cutters while I was in the office talking with staff about the two cars I needed to adjust. She had been roaming the lot until she saw me and I happened to be near her car. Karen was charged with burglary, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, assault on a police officer, assault on me, trespassing and resisting arrest. I know Karen did jail time, but I'm not sure how much. Years later, the tow company I now own impounded her car for being double parked. She remembered who I was and quietly paid. This happened about 6 years ago when I was 12 and my brother was 10. We lived next to an older lady, let's call her Jane, who we never really interacted with. We used to play with tennis balls and cricket balls in our backyard, and occasionally they would go over the fence. When they did, however, Jane would keep the balls and not give them back. She would always say, "Any ball that comes into my yard is mine, and I'm keeping it." One time we were playing with my dog and her favorite ball went over the fence. I sucked it up and went to talk to Meanie Jane, as we called her, only because it was my dog's favorite ball. But obviously she didn't give it back. He was so sad and kept looking for the ball everywhere and wouldn't play with any other ball. That was the final straw. I found a shop online where you can bulk buy sports equipment, usually for schools, and with my dad's help bought 200 tennis balls. Once they arrived, my plan could begin. Step 1. Ask her for my dog's ball again. No surprise, she was mean and wouldn't give it. "Any ball that comes into my yard is mine and I'm keeping it." Fine then. Time for step 2. Step 2. Every day, go into the yard and throw a tennis ball over the fence. Each day, increase the amount. Day 1, 1 ball, day 2, 2 balls, day 3, 3 balls, and so on. And each day before doing this, ask for my dog's ball back. Each day, getting a no. By the time we get to day 19, we only had 10 balls left. And that's when step 3 came into play. Step 3. She had an old rubbish bin she kept all our balls in, and at this point it was overflowing. So that week's bin night, we watched her haul out 2 large black bin bags. Once it got dark, me and my dad went out, and lo and behold, it was every single ball of ours that had gone over the fence in the past few years. In total, around 300 balls, including the 200 new ones. Even was my dog's ball in there. To say my dog was really excited is an understatement. She wouldn't put the thing down and even started sleeping with it. Some time ago, we lived in a twin house, with one shared wall. No problem with neighbors for years. We only heard some really loud noise once or twice, but that happens. Until neighbors moved in. They had a load of children, like 6 or more, and pretty young too, and also noisy. But whatever, children are children, and earplugs are awesome. But then a wife, let's call her Erica, shows interest in our house. It has been for sale for a while actually, even before they moved in. So they look around, do negotiations, offer a laughably low price, complain about everything, you know the drill. But still they really want to buy the house. Mom said pay the price or no deal. And now starts the not-so-silent war. Actually, it was a very loud war. Every day when the children were at home, they would be even more loud than before, like screaming and running/jumping around so much that the walls were shaking. We actually overheard Erica praising the kids and encouraging it. So it was 100% intentional. Okay, Mom brings up an old radio and starts blasting music. They blast music right back. On one occasion from the same FM. Not a fun way to live in our home, but what can we do? Then some potential buyers come over. And guess what? The neighbors are even more noisy. Somehow they found out and put up drums or have the children scream every single time. All the while still trying to negotiate buying the house. There was some back and forth, but it didn't go anywhere. This went on for months until we found the perfect new owner of our home. The lady fell in love with the house, and when the problem with the neighbors came up, it turned out it wasn't a problem for her. Her dream is a dance studio, and general noise doesn't bother her. So when again a "we want to buy it" offer came from the neighbors, we had the pleasure to tell them they missed it, and now they can enjoy the new ladies' dance studio with a ton of people coming and going every single day. All the noise they made, karma brought it right back. Moral of the story, don't scare away the nice potential buyers, because the one who remains can give back as well and they get. At my last company, I was working as a marketing executive. The team included myself and a senior marketing executive. As time went on, I began to take on more responsibilities to the point that I was doing more than the seniors in the team, which they admitted. I spoke to my manager about what I need to do to get a senior position. She gave me goals and a timeline. I hit those targets and she would move the goalposts. She did this 2 more times, all the while I was using my skills to reduce costs and improve the projects I was working on. Specifically, I had started to design everything myself instead of using the expensive design agency, saving the company £45,000 per year. I finally set another meeting with my manager to discuss a promotion. I showed her how I'd increased the profit margins of all of my projects and all the extra work I've been doing. Her response was, "Just because you make nice things and do extra work doesn't entitle you to a promotion." I sat there shocked while she said, "But don't worry, you'll get there." Then ended the meeting. She had led me on about a promotion for 2 whole years. And here is where I started my malicious compliance. I stopped doing anything outside my job description, which included all the design work. Everything went to an agency. The whole team relied on my design work. But when I told them why I was stopping, they were also quite happy to start using the expensive agency. It wasn't until our next quarterly meeting that my manager noticed our profits per project had harshly dropped. When she questioned why we were spending so much, I said, "As design is out of my remit, we had to use an agency." She was livid. She had to present the stats to the CEO that week, who ended up yelling at her in front of the directors. She tried to give me an official warning for sabotaging the team, but the talk with HR cleared that away when they realized it wasn't part of my role. She then told me that I had to sign a new contract with an updated job description, and I declined that too. Eventually, she asked me what it would take to get me to continue running my projects like I used to, and I mentioned the job title and salary increase, and she begrudgingly accepted. I was worried about her being hostile, but then COVID hit, and the lady was made redundant. I stayed for a further 2 years before finally moving to a much better place at the start of this year. And as of today, her LinkedIn continues to show that she's unemployed. Backstory: I was a bad kid growing up. I have since reformed my wicked ways, but I was a petty thief and got into the occasional fight. It was mostly harmless stuff. I viewed myself as a vigilante. I would rescue the little guy and fight their bullies. My mom's boyfriend taught me Krav Maga, Israeli special defense fighting, very brutal. One day I got caught fighting 4 kids. I was 13 at the time and this was my second strike. Normally they probably would have let me go considering my age. However, I badly hurt them. As a result, I was arrested and sentenced. My mom struck a deal and I went to a level 0 facility. Level 5 is a super max. Level 0 is basically a bad youth camp, or in my case, it was a great rainbow boys ranch. Staff was pretty chill for the most part. They had a lot of rules, but typically I didn't have many problems with them. Most of the 50 or so kids were chill too, but there was this one staff member. He was such a jerk, even the other adults didn't like him. We will call him Mr. P. Mr. P would write you up for everything and nothing. Shorts an inch below your knees, you're a gangster. Lion's hair touches your ears, you're a hippie. No belt? That was his favorite, oh boy. You will get an earful. This comes into play later. Now on the ranch you had to adhere to the dress code, but when we went on trips, it was relaxing. Typically, Mr. P never went on trips with a group. One year we were invited on a hunting trip, a week-long endeavor in the heat of the summer. Mr. P invited himself along with a relatively small group that went, about 12 to 15 of us including staff. Sure enough, Mr. P was up our butts about everything, especially a younger kid named Sam. The second day, Sam and I were playing basketball. It was 90 degrees, so we were wearing shorts. I had on basketball shorts, but Sam had a pair of jean shorts. They had pit loops. They were so tight he didn't need them. But Mr. P sees them and starts walking over. Uh-oh. Sam gets yanked off the court just as he's about to make a freebie. And Mr. P is screaming at him. What did I say? You have to wear a belt at all times. I hear that and the wheels start turning. That night, I hatched a plan and spread the word. The next morning everyone wears a nice shirt tucked into basketball shorts and, you guessed it, a nice, thick leather belt. This looks ridiculous. As staff start pulling all the kids out and asking what the hell is going on. Why is this happening? This isn't funny. We were embarrassed by the ranch. Why would we do this? Every kid points to me. The head staff grabs two staffers. Isn't it my luck? Mr. P is along for the ride. They sit down and ask why I organized this. And I calmly and meekly replied, Mr. P wrote up Sam for not wearing a belt. And he told him that you have to wear a belt at all times. I didn't want anyone else to get in trouble, so naturally, I spread the word. The staff glanced at one another and then asked me to leave. I walked outside the door and listened. What ensued was a shouting match. That morning after breakfast was done, the staff came out and told us that Mr. P no longer worked there. He had complications at home and had to leave suddenly. Oh, and we didn't have to wear a belt unless we're wearing jeans or loose-fitting shorts with spelt loops. We've gone hunting about 6 years, and we still joke about Mr. P. We put a belt on a mounted pair of antlers as a reminder. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.